So good morning to everyone. I will cover a specific case, so probably can make some ties with what Nancy did cover in general. So I will probably go into the dinosaur global companies compared to the emerging entrepreneurs that you talked about. And so it's going to be interesting to see the difference and the way we do this. So the title we choose for today was Lean as a Method to Overcome Stagnation. So I think Rémi was introducing it. I mean, I'm going to speak as a French company working in a global environment and trying to face and to address the issues of being in France and managing the difficulties of exploiting the potential at the same time. So this is title, and obviously lean, as you see, is the first word. So lean, I'm sure most of you have heard about lean, so I'm not going to be a teacher in the lean in processes. However, I will explain what we've done by doing it. And I have chosen specifically the slide with this 2015, are we ready? This was the motto of our conference worldwide that we made in 2010. So basically, this is the way we work. I mean, we make a plan for 5 years and we're trying to find out how we're progressing and are we doing what we're supposed to be. So basically, the meeting started with 2015, are we ready? And we were in 2010. So now we are halfway, almost. And I'm going to say, yes, we are still ready and we think we are doing what we need to do. All right? So that's the reason why you see this. And obviously, we review this every year, finding out, are we maintaining our path or what do we need to change, because we're talking about change. So are we able to really modify the path even though the target doesn't change? I think this is the main lesson for me today is our job is really to find a way to continue to reach the goal, even though, as we do in the sailing world, I mean, we have the surprising wind that we did not expect, so we need to change, we need to adapt, and still keeping the focus for the end of the reach. All right? All right, so for those of you, this is my agenda. I mean, briefly, I'll start with the big caterpillar, and then I will zoom into Cat France, and showing some lessons, some examples, and trying to convert to really teach on, by doing this lean journey, what did we create? And I use the word probably with some arrogance of innovation, maybe not at the point that Nancy was talking about, but still thinking that this as creating a wheel of change that is interesting to see that it is going beyond what we expected. And I'm here to share, so we'll see what I have learned. So for those of you who don't know Caterpillar, Caterpillar is one of these large companies, so $60 billion, more than 100,000 employees around the world, more than 500 physical manufacturing locations. Used to be very American, obviously 50 years ago when we started, to invade Europe. So we started to buy plants or to create plants in Europe. This was a long time ago. So this is the same story Nancy had, but in France at that time. And obviously now, Caterpillar is investing massively in China, in Asia, in South America, because this is where we expect the growth to be. So we do manage the business with dealership, so we have independent dealership that are supposed to be the linkage with the final customer. The reason is because we think that we have a better customer view by having someone independent from the company to really teach us and tell us the truth of the market. And we think this is the best way to manage the business, and it has proven till now that this is a good opportunity. So the motto we're using, I mean, sorry for the titles here, is it's always time to go to work in our company, because there is always somewhere, someplace, someone from Caterpillar that is still already working. Now, if for those of you who don't know Caterpillar, this is the kind of things we make. So we make the very tiny, small one on the bottom left, and the large one. And we recently actually made an acquisition to be able to do even bigger and produce large mining equipment that are really even larger than this one. So this is the scale, this is the type of product. Now, for those of you who thought that we were making shoes, we also sell shoes, but we don't make them. I mean, we brand, we use the fashion, clothes and shoes as an opportunity to promote the brand. And I think the brand has been more publicly known with it, even though we don't make them. The reason of the shoes was, this is kind of the innovation thing, is we need shoes for the operators to go on these machines to be safe. And we started with that idea that we need to protect the employee or the customer. And finally said, well, maybe this is something we can sell, and became a nice opportunity to sell, and obviously to improve the knowledge, public knowledge of the brand. Classical Caterpillar, as a large group, we have an enterprise strategy. I mean, I'm sure you've seen this many times in many places. We simply say this is the balancing act between what the shareholder would like us to be, what the customer would like us to be, and what our employees would like us to be. So this is our job, to make sure we have the right balance between the three. So what is interesting in this conversation today is the one I have highlighted here. Yes, we want to be the leader. We are the leader, or we used to be the leader for every product we make. And in order to stay the leader, we need to continue to work on our opportunities, and particularly win in China, grow to the rest of the world, like ASEAN and CIS, where we are not necessarily well present. And at the same time, attack our cost and continue to improve the profit for a large company. The risk is, well, are we going to be able to be successful in emerging markets? And what does it take to be there versus what we are used to be? So, and this is typically what happens. This is Caterpillar in the middle, obviously. These are the most known competitors that we used to work with, or in the same business. So some of them are large and global like we are. Some of them you probably know. And this was our very comfortable position, our very comfortable leadership position. We were leaders against most of them. But the world is changing, and this is the landscape today. This is a couple of years in between, maybe 5 or 10 years. And probably you would see very soon that even the letters, you cannot read the letters. So this is the changing opportunity for Caterpillar, having to deal with emerging, for most of them, unknown companies, or local, regional players that would become and will become good players if they are continuing to do what they do. When Nancy was talking, I was really thinking that one of them here on this list is exactly with an appetite of a lion, trying to buy everything and to grow at the speed that we would never think about. So the landscape is changing, or the company has to change, and obviously when Caterpillar looks at the world, this is the way we look at. When it's yellow, it means there is an opportunity to grow. So you see immediately that there is nothing in Europe. And the reason is because, well, Europe is probably stable at the best. But if we are not successful obviously in CIS, in China, in South America, Caterpillar will not be the leader of today. So there is no way. I mean, the burning platform is there. We have to be there. We have to be successful. But then the question is, from the top, is what do we do with the European business? And if we look at European landscape, the demand is pretty stable. The offer is becoming more and more standardized from a business. We can buy a product from any place. and it's the same product. You can pretend as a customer to have the same level of quality. So I said here quality as a qualifier. It's no more a qualifier. Every place will be able to make the product as good as we can make it, as we think traditionally been good in the business. Global accounts, obviously more and more companies would be globally managed and would be able to buy as a power of decision from robots. So really, from a corporation standpoint, well, why should we stay in Europe, or what do we do in Europe? So then France, particularly, I use the expression of Mr. Kraus of oak tree. I mean, are we really able to change? In France particularly, we have many flexibility constraints. These words are purposely opposite. And, well, we are not that easy to do business with. So this is from my corporation, say, well, this is the way we look at Europe, so we better do something, we as Europeans. So what this is Caterpillar France. Caterpillar France is an oak tree as well. It's a 50 years presence. I mean, 50 years ago we came in France and we bought one facility and then we grew it, and so now it's a different position. So you see the type of product we make, more than 2,000 employees. So it's kind of in today's world of lean, it's kind of a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur within the dinosaur. And, well, we have an opportunity. Yeah, we have expertise. We do product development. We have market access. This is probably the most reason why we are there. So we better leverage what are the reasons we are there and probably improve against our weaknesses. So when I look at this, I use here a text that we're using in teaching in class is, well, what is really our goal? I mean, what is our perception? I mean, are we going to grow, stagnate, or even disappear? So we better do something, and the reason is, we need a breakthrough strategy in order to change. We need to reinvent ourselves. If not, we will not be there in the future, for all the reasons I've been sharing with you before. So not to be scared, but yes, still need to be seriously changing. So what did we do? So, well, we will implement lean. We will do our best in re-engineering ourselves. We will be in that position able to continue to maintain the business. And I made the correlation here between the top, which is the Caterpillar company, and the bottom, which is the region where we work and the region where we live. And so, well, there are opportunities that maybe we can leverage the culture in the country or in the region we work. So if for those of you who have seen Grenoble before, so there is an history of change as well. I mean, you probably recognize Mr. Kelly, who used to be a champion in ski in early or late 60s. And yeah, the synchrotron and nuclear technology and expertise is very present in Grenoble. So there is an opportunity. So we said, well, we can be successful. We can do it. We just need to be serious. So yes, we need to do it from a company, and we can leverage the region. So then we said, okay, what are we going to design, right? So this is my explanation now after a long introduction. What are we changing? And okay, in order to change, we use what all classical companies do, is copy the automotive industry, saying, okay, Toyota production system is the reference, or Toyota is the #1 reference in terms of lean. So we invented, obviously, Caterpillar production system. And Caterpillar production system, for those of you who have heard about lean a little bit, the only interest of this slide is there are principles that all go together, and this is a system. Only when these things all work, the process really achieves the performance that you want to have. So we were using books and reads and improvements. So this was not simply for Grenoble, but this was for Caterpillar in general. But we said, okay, if we are successful to do this quicker than others, we will have an additional opportunity to survive. And okay, so we started to decide and design what are we going to change physically in our entity. So we use recipe. I mean, what are the key principles that we're going to use from a manufacturing standpoint? And then trying to convey the message, okay, what are we going to change? And here it's the most important picture or slide for me is on the left side you have the technical stuff. I mean, what are we going to do? How do we do this? What are the details? And on the right slide, on the right part of the slide is the people side. Maybe doesn't speak to you, but this was the #1 tool for bringing the people with us in the change. So maybe people will not like it, but at least we try to convey and envision them what is going to be the future, how it looks like. This was designed 3 years ago, before anything was even started. And this was a powerful opportunity to say, well, there is no way to convince people if we don't show them anything. So we've been working a lot on, okay, what are the recipe, how all these recipe going to be physically represented so the people can really translate them in their own life or their own working life. Okay, then we started the transformation, so I'm not going to be making here an overall operational review, but briefly, this is the comparison between in the past and in today's environment. When the past was very asynchronous, we had a lot of waste, a lot of obsolete technology, and then the bottom shows the vision, and then the reality on the right, which is what happened now, physically working. One of the innovation that here was focused on, where the goal was that these captive lines, synchronized flow, all these things that you probably have heard into any lean books. And the innovation came on the top here. You see that tractor, that piece of a tractor starting to be rotating in order for the operator to be at the right position and the right height and the right conditions for him to work from an ergonomic and a safety standpoint. And this came from a very, I mean, I was discussing last night at dinner. Nobody really knows how this idea came in. This idea was used in different technology, in different environment, in welding typically. And said, well, by working on the safety, we found out this opportunity. And this has brought significant cost reduction for the product and for the process because the operator was easier to work with. And so all this is not, in order to be successful on this, what did we do? Again, we used the people and brought the people with us. I mean, even from the shop workers, making validation tests in order to validate that this idea would be successful and possible. So yes, the things have changed in terms of results. If I go a little bit behind 2010, all the indicators are improving. The safety is our #1 goal here on the top. You see the quality, our ability to supply customers, and also the pull-through in terms of money. Yes, so the results are starting to be there. Okay, so the journey is not finished. We still have things to do. And just a sharing here is, I shared before, I said, well, we have a 15 principles. This is very important and very key that everything goes together. But we find out that in reality, we had to prioritize. This could not be done. I mean, it's very difficult to attack everything at the same time. So we had to prioritize, and this is what we did here. We said, okay, what are the lean principles that are really key in the change, one at a time? So first, we need to build the quality. First, I mean, we need to absolutely improve quality. Then we can do things in velocity and so on. So the message is, well, this is my lesson. I mean, it's nice to have a system, but you cannot really achieve everything at the same time. I mean, it's a breakthrough so large that you have to segment your opportunity to bring people with you and teach and train and change. So I like to explain that traditionally lean, okay, we focus on the waste around the operator. So here, if you think about this guy assembling the product, yeah, we are focusing on him so well. We are focusing on the systems, on the safety, the quality for the operator. We want to improve. But by doing this, we suddenly said, well, but this cannot work if we don't work around him. So what are the supply chain, the supply network, the systems, the suppliers? So we expand, and then we say, well, but if this cannot work, if we don't touch the way we work as an organization, the way we talk to people, the way we communicate, the way we align the objectives. So it went up to the leadership. And because we went so upscale, then we went down. So, well, because we changed this, what is the consequence? So it's a nice way to do this. I mean, we started from the center, the human. We went up to the top and going down now by changing things that we have learned ourselves to do it. And this is the beauty of being in the integrated system. Obviously, to do this, we have dashboards, we have all these kinds of things. The only thing I wanted to share here was at the center, which is process capability. Generally, I've been in changing things and in designing things for years, and I always made the mistake that we immediately want to focus on the epsilon, which is the performance of the results what we want to achieve. But until we don't work enough into the process capability, how do we have designed the right process? Is it working? What are the ingredients for the results to be there? And this was a significant, painful lesson, that until we stop thinking of the output immediately and go back to the process, we will not be successful. So if I look at this, we have design, transformation, and sustain. We have learned a lot of things in order to design the product, to design the process. We have then transforming. We are in the middle of transforming. But I wanted now to focus your attention on the sustainability. How are we going to make sure this is going to stay? And are we going to stay there because of our successful introduction? And so here what I did is I used the flyer of today with Mr. Kraus' sentence, and I highlighted a couple of words here. And this is basically what I think happened to us. Yes, we build from experience. Yes, there is no better way to convince people that using successes that you've had in different places are in isolation. Yes, we need to develop the change capability. And here I'm going to show this as a very traditional process American company. Change is a process. So you can manage with metrics and informations and dimensions, and don't count on luck. I mean, yeah, it's not going to happen because you think you can. Re-engineering in France, well, yes, it's possible. So we have to disregard the belief and really demonstrate. And build from it, I mean, sharing that, yes, we went even higher or bigger than what we expected. So the transformation, obviously, this is the change, right? We always have, at a certain point of any conversation, what we call a burning platform. There is a reason for us to change. And in my case, the idea was, well, it's significantly important that we have to manage it, so we have to develop a change management expertise. This will never be successful if I just count on the technical issues. So we went through what I use here, this tsunami picture. We created the expertise. Right, so we started with a black belt training, all these things. Then we went up to change master capability. We've been coached by external expertise till last year. And now we think we have embedded or insourced the expertise in-house that we can continue by ourselves. But this represents significant investment in human capability and in process in order to be able to maintain and sustain the change. So we had to develop a change management center of expertise residing in HR today, and develop a network of not only the experts, but then the different sub-projects that would be also integrating this knowledge of a change. So you have this picture here on the bottom. Okay, at the center you have this change management team, which is connected with all the different sub-teams that each of them have to think and use the process in order to be successful. So as I said, we are an American company, Six Sigma company. So we have indicators, we have performance measures, not on the process, how many machines we make, but on the way we're changing. So we're using recognized firm technique that we have insourced as a company now. And so these metrics are regularly reviewed by the top management, and this is made at every single level, every single project. So it's granular enough that every single project can make it work, but it's also globalized and reviewed at the top, so we see the connections and interactions between the different projects. So the change management journey is simply, the goal we had was work from an unconscious competence. We didn't know we wanted to have it, to a conscious competence. Yes, we want to be experts in change management, we want to be using it, and all the bottom is the results that we use. This is a typical slide I'm using with my leadership, is what are the results of change management? You know, this is the classical question from the shareholder, is, well, you're spending all that money, but what's the benefit? And the only answer I have to say is that this is a leap of faith. I don't know the answer mathematically. I will never be able to justify exactly the number of hours we spent on it. But what I know is that if we did not do it, this would have been worse. So it's kind of difficult discussion with the financial people. But if the results are there in terms of the performance afterwards, in terms of sustainability, then this is the best message I can have in terms of convincing anybody. Okay, so here I wanted to share this idea. Okay, we started with the manufacturing, and this is the snowballing. I'm using the snowball. I mean, the ball was growing and growing because we started with the manufacturing, then we challenged the organization. Suddenly we said, well, I had people coming from the other groups, like HR, like purchasing, like finance. Said, well, maybe we can do this as well. So it went up to the transactional business, not just the manufacturing. And it revealed that, yes, if we start with the human at the center, then we started to think about things like working conditions. I mentioned this manipulator before. Health, well-being. I mean, in France, we're talking about risks psychosociaux, so mental health as well. This is also integrated into our journey. And now we even go even further. So, well, maybe we need to change the way we think as a company. The company boundaries are no more the same. So we're talking about employability as a company strategy. So typically things that we did not expect that we would have done or we would have to do, redesigning the labor contract, the work schedules. We invented things like stretching at work. I mean, in order to prepare the people to work better for their own safety. And also disability. We need to make sure we have people that would be with the age disabled more than before, and we need to find a way to integrate this need in our change. And now we're talking about employability, as I use this example here. I have now suddenly innovation people coming to me to say, well, I have an idea of creating revenue for the company that was not part of the scope. And so bringing revenue in additionally, very independent from the classical focus. And maybe, why not spin-off? People that would leave the company, but still promote or help our own benefits. All right, so lessons learned. Remy is telling me I have 5 more minutes. Yes, so we need to think differently. This is a picture here of the school internally we have in order to make sure we use people to be ready. And I use on the bottom this example of La Route du Rhum to repeat my message that, well, the only thing I know is I need to reach Guadeloupe here, but maybe the route will change, but not the goal. Because in any of these changes, we will never be able to predict every single steps perfectly. And this is one way to really create an organization, learning from doing and continue to invest and sharing what you learn with others. A leader has to be leading by example, so I used here the example of Nelson, but the people at the bottom of the organization, I mean, you're talking about 9 layers before, I was counting how many layers do we have in Caterpillar. And okay, we have 7, so it's still a bigger issue. Yeah, these people need to see you and understand. So this picture of the vision, but also being close to them, as close as you can, because this is the best way to communicate. So you remember I covered that before. I mean, my lesson from the lean journey, not now from a lesson from a change management in general. Well, if we don't share the vision, it doesn't work. We need to be one voice, so every single member of the collective leadership team has to be able to explain the same vision the same way. Supporting role is important as a sponsor, right? I mean, I need to guide the teams, but it's also a challenge for me because I'm also part of the change, so I'm not necessarily perfectly aware of what's going to be my future way of doing business, but this is part of the change. And we're using different terms. I mean, we are generally a target of the change. We are a change agent, and we are a sponsor. For some of us, we have the three roles. And when we are a change agent, like here, but we need to do all these things. But the most important thing is start with the end in mind of what you want to achieve, and think at from the target. The target are the people that are going to be with you. So what do these people think? Or try. This is the most difficult thing. Do we know what they think? No. But if we don't try to know, if we don't try to find, we will never know. That's it. So I think we are ready.
So, thank you, Raphael. For me, it was very interesting to listen how you, as a globally acting company, try to survive in Europe. Because this was the initial question, and how to overcome stagnation. And you answered in a, let me say, as a manager. As a manager who tried to manage the complexity, because a lot of the slides you show us, we had a very complex situation, the complex situation of your company. But for me, it was impressive how you decided what are priorities. That without taking decisions on priorities, it's not possible to manage the complexity. That was one of the messages for me, and maybe that you had other insights or you have questions at the moment. So if at the moment you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask now. If not now, then afterwards in the workshop with Raphael. For me also one, yeah, there's one.
Thank you. So I wanted to know how did employees accept the change, and was it different from a country to another? And how can you measure the global maturity of the transformation and the acceptance of employees in Caterpillar?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this was my last sentence, right? So we do this. We try to mathematically understand if the people understand, if the people accept, if the people believe in the change, or at least in the plan we have. So there is a difference between what is the goal and is my leadership ready to bring me to the goal. So this is kind of this sailing picture, remember? Yeah, do I like to be in Guadeloupe in the future as an employee? Maybe, maybe not. And do I trust my captain on the boat to bring me there? These are the two different things that we looked. And so we have surveys, we have what we call focus groups. So we will meet with people and we will ask questions. What do you understand? What do you need to understand? What are your issues today? So the difficulty is making sure that the people that are asking questions are independent from, let's say, the comité de direction, from the leadership, so in order to be unbiased. So that's the difficulty, making sure that you trust enough the process that you can be free to think or to express your opinions. And then we measure the trends month after month. What are the resistance expressed? Did we cover them? Do we have a plan to cover them? And then we continue to monitor. Now, the other question was different countries, or obviously yes. I mean, this is absolutely different from the business, from the culture of the country. I've been in different countries, and I can relate to that. But the picture of the business is the number one fundamental to start. I mean, what is the situation in Germany? What is the situation in South Africa compared to the change? Did I answer? No, I'll take a joker on this.
Okay, thank you. Well, for me it was important also that you said one sentence that you had painful and significant lessons. So that change and all what you managed also, it was not possible without this significant painful lessons. So it's clear that it's not automatically that you have to do hard work to overcome stagnation, when we talk about stagnation. And the other sentence was from the unconscious to the conscious competence. So I believe that there's a relationship between these two sentences, that the painful lessons are on the, let me say, on the mindset. Yeah. Maybe that you can explain a little bit deeper what is so painful there.
Painful is the journey was not that. I mean, it's much more difficult to change when you are going into a stagnation or into a survival mode, rather than when you need to change for the growth. So our picture was not a growth, absolutely not. I mean, the future of CAT France 2015 compared to 2010 is a smaller company, is a smaller focused company. So that's immediately a painful message for people. It's not well, rosy and everything is nice. So it's painful to convey the message, and then it's painful to bring the acceptance, the question before, to everyone. But as you said, I mean, the painful is also that French have to accept that we can make mistakes, and we need to learn from mistakes and correct for the future the gap, the cap, what I was talking about before. I mean, the sailing picture is very clear to me. Yeah, we make mistakes. So well, the wind, we didn't expect the wind on this side. We need to change, and then we still continue to go to Guadeloupe.
Okay, so if Nancy said we have bad news for Europe, so you are talking about both bad news and good news, so that it's a challenge, but it's not mission impossible. So it's possible, but with painful lessons.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Other questions?
You said you started by the shop floor, and then you challenged the organization, and then you challenged some mindset and transactional. How far did you went in this direction, and have you implemented it on other services like R&D and finance and?
So how far did we go? Not enough. I mean, we're still in the journey, so we still have opportunities, probably even unplanned or unseen yet. And we will continue to do this, so we will see changes. I was so surprised that the effect, the collateral effect on the other groups. That's why I wanted to mention it. But I have examples in the training department that have significantly re-engineered the way they do business. So they do the training activities in finance, yes, as well. We still have not covered the entire organization, and I think the opportunity is still maybe 1 or 2, I mean, 2-digit % improvement in performance and in service. But as Rémi mentioned, what we learn is making the priorities in the change. So now we are exactly in the same position. I talked about quality as number 1. So we are asking the transactional services to start with quality. Okay, do you really understand what quality means from you and from your customer? and then you will identify the waste, and then you can go further and deeper. So the answer is yes, we started. No, it's not finished. It will never be finished.
Okay, so I suggest that we are going to the break. Thank you, Raphael, and we can deepen in the workshop this afternoon. Thank you.